Hey guys, what's up? My name is Jordi, your instructor, and welcome to my course. In this video lesson, I'm going to talk about the rig, the DSLR rig. Now, what is a rig? It doesn't exactly mean something to put on your shoulder, because a lot of people think that is what a rig is. No, a rig can go from things like very basic things, like two simple rods where you can mount a mat box on, if you are really into a mat box. And then you can just put it on your tripod. So it's in one way something to add your accessories on. Also, for example, a video light, like this small LED panel that you can add on it, or an external microphone, or a follow focus, etc., etc. And on the other side, a rig is also to stabilize your footage. It can be done very simply, just by a leaning point on your chest or something, just one rod that is leaning on it. Or it can be, of course, a shoulder rig that goes something on your shoulder, so that you can stabilize your footage way more. As I was also talking in the fallback lesson in this course, you understand that a DSLR comes a lot of things short, like a lot of functionality and ergonomics and stuff. So I definitely advise to look out for some kind of rig. Like, for example, if you want to add an external monitor, why not put that on a rig? I know you can also put that on top of your camera, like in the hot shoe mount, but if you can add that onto a pretty simple and small rig, then you have the ability to really put that monitor any way you want. So that makes a rig very, very personal. Now, you can buy a pre-made shoulder rig from a lot of manufacturers out there, but you can also buy each component separately. And that is something that I did with my rig. And what I'm about to show you right now is how my rig is constructed. Now, I have a straight shoulder rig, and it all starts from the same basic thing. And you can already see that here in the first picture that I have. This is where the rig starts from. So you've got two rods. Both rods are at a thickness of 15 millimeters, and they have a space between them of 16 millimeters. Now that is an industry standard. So that means whenever you start with this setup, you can slide anything you want onto it. Follow focus, a top handle, or a back handle, extra weights, a mat box, an LCD monitor, anything you can think of. You can just slide it onto it because it's an industry standard. There's also a 19 millimeter standard, but that is for like very huge motion picture cameras. So don't even get started on that. Look at the 15 millimeter rod. So at the top you can see a quick release plate. That is for your camera, it just slides onto it. And on the bottom you have a tripod plate. That means we can attach those tripod plates onto it with those 1/4 of an inch screws, which are also industry standard. Right here you have an image of the quick release of the camera, so you can see you can just slide your camera in there and tighten it up. Okay, very easy to use. Here you have a side picture with the camera plate onto it. On top goes the camera and down below goes the tripod. Very simple. And here you can see with the camera on it, this is the most basic setup. This is where it all starts from. Then the next thing you'd probably buy is a follow focus, so that you can focus a lot better, because that is really a must when it comes to DSLR filmmaking. And what I have is the Film City follow focus. It's a very cheap one. Actually, the whole rig is pretty cheap, but I'm very pleased with it. I think that I got more than what I paid for. I'm really happy of the build quality. The follow focus, it just cost me around, I don't know, $100 or something like that. And I'm really happy with that follow focus. It has a very good build quality. And so right here you can see the follow focus just goes onto the focus ring of your lens, of your camera, so that way you can focus. And it has these hard stops, which you can also define. So whenever you don't have a focus pillar, you can use these hard stops to focus to one place or to another. Then the next thing you want to add is an LCD monitor, which I also recommend to use. There are two ways to connect an LCD monitor, or actually 3 ways. The first way is to add it onto a shoe mount, onto your camera on top of it, which I don't advise, really I don't, because when you're building out your camera, You are going to need a top handle to lift your camera and all that kind of stuff. It just gets in the way. It's much easier to use a magic arm. And a magic arm has to be used within a 4/3 of an inch screw. You can use one of these clamps, which just slide onto one of those rods. Or you can also add it to your quick release plate if it supports, or on some other place, you know. I use the quick release on the left side, that's a 4/3 of an inch screw, to add my magic arm in. So whenever I do that, you can see this here is the magic arm. So you can turn this knot loose and then you just place the magic arm wherever you want, tighten it back up, and that is what's so interesting about mounting your LCD monitor like that instead of on top of your camera. So as you can see, you can put it down below or you can put it above for when you're doing these top shots. And then the LCD monitor just connects to your camera on the HDMI out port. Now there's one problem with this port. It's not an HDMI, but it's a mini HDMI. And that means it breaks pretty fast, and I had that problem with my first cable. Now I was very lucky because the cable broke instead of the internal connector. Because whenever that happens, it will cost you around $1,000 to fix that whole board in there. So a solution for that, and I really recommend to buy that whenever you have a external monitor attached, is to add these adapters from mini HDMI to normal HDMI. And to also make that fixed in place so that whenever someone pulls that cable or you bump into a wall or something like that, that it will never break. You can buy one of these lock ports and it will cost you around $100, but that's still way less than $1,000 to fix that rear end. So what it does, it just tightens up with the base plate that goes into the quick release of your rig. And then, as you can see, the camera just goes in into there and into the monitor. Now, the monitor also needs some powering, but that is for later within this photo slideshow. For now, let's just assume that it gets this powering from the sky, okay? Then the next thing you probably want to add is a shoulder pad whenever you want to do like shoulder shots, handheld shots. And it comes with these two handles, and you can see me standing there. This is a very basic shoulder setup. And, you know, if that suits you the best, you know, then really only use that small setup. If you want to work fast, this doesn't weigh much. This is a great solution. But we can add more, of course. Then the next thing I suggest to buy or to add or whatever is a cage around your camera, because that will allow you to do a lot. First of all, it protects your camera. Whenever it falls or bumps into a wall, it protects your camera. And you can see it from different angles right here. And it also has these 15mm bars again, which are industry standards. And also the space between them is also standard. Here's a picture from the other side. And as you can see, it has these holes everywhere in them. They are again industry standard holes. So this cage doesn't only protect your camera, but it also allows you to put any accessory you can think of onto your camera. Going from external microphones, audio solutions, like these mini LED panels, second LCD monitor whenever you want to have your client watching with you, etc, etc. Also like a top handle, which I really like, just so that you can put up your camera like that. And as you can see here is a close-up of one of those screws within the cage. Something I really recommend whenever you want to build out these a big rig. And as you can see, you can also move these bars on the sides wherever you want it to go to. You can move it way more to the back, maybe add a weight to there so that the weight is balanced more. Also make some space for your CF card or SD card in your camera so that the bars are not in the way. And then on the top I've got this shoe mount for my microphone. So there goes in my external microphone. This is a good microphone. Way better, of course, as within the camera. Now later in this course I'm going to talk about audio solutions and also how I did my audio solution. For now, just take a look at what cool accessories we can attach. Okay, there is also my audio solution there. It's a Juice Links box. It's an amplifier. And just that goes into the camera like that. As you can see, I also have a monitoring solution. So there is my headphones, which goes into an amplifier to amplify the signal, and that goes into the camera. It's the AV out. Now that is made possible by Magic Lantern again, because by default you are not able to monitor on a 5D Mark II. Now there are DSLRs out there that provide a monitoring jack, but the 5D Mark II not by default. So luckily we have a Magic Lantern. Then the next thing I have is a V-plate. Do I recommend this? If you have a lot of accessories that needs batteries, then yes, I do recommend this. What this allows you to do is add like a very big battery on the back of it. First of all, that's a counterweight to balance your camera more when you have it on your shoulder. And second of all, you can power like multiple devices with just one battery. Now, if you only have like your camera and an LCD monitor and like that's it, okay, maybe for your LCD monitor, but if you don't have that much devices on it, then I don't think it's really necessary. Then you can better just add a counterweight to it. Anyways, I've also created something myself here, because the output of the V-plate was only 1 times 7.2 voltage. And that 7.2 voltage is something most of my accessories need. Then I also had 5 voltage, but that just wasn't enough. So I just was able to split them, because it was such a huge battery, very powerful battery, so I can just split it in 3, like I did here. That's a little do-it-yourself there. So there, my first device is my audio amplifier for the monitoring, which I can connect with just one cable. Then the second cable goes into my monitor, and there is my power solution for the monitor. It can now stop taking power from the air. And then finally, my third device is my camera itself. And I think this is pretty cool, because that way I don't have to look at the battery anymore, because I'm sure that the big battery can go on for a whole day, really. It can power very good. And what this small thing actually does here, it's like a battery that goes into the camera, but it has this cable connected to it. So it's actually a dummy battery, because there's no battery in there, of course. So what I just have to do is connect one of those powering cables to that fake battery actually, and my camera is also powered with the same battery. And then finally, the last thing you can add to your camera is a matte box. Now, I have my doubts about this. I bought this because it was cheap again. Bought everything from Pro Aim. They have very cheap products, because I'm also a little bit skeptical about all this rig thing, and especially matte box. I mean, do you really need that? Especially flares is something that is really in these days. It's really something awesome. So why put a matte box on and flag all the flares away? You don't really need this thing. But you know, if you have the money and it looks awesome. You know, when I go to my clients, they always look, whoa, great camera. Well, I actually just have a small DSLR camera. You can add filters in them, like polarization filters whenever you shoot against the glass. You can add ND filters, color filters, anything you want. I've got 2 of them. So it's a useful accessory, of course, but you need to ask yourself, do I need it? I actually don't really need it. Okay, there I said it. It just looks cool, all right. It's a swing away matte box. That's what I also like about it. I can interchange my lenses like that, very nice, without taking off the matte box each time. And that's about it. And here's a picture of my whole rig combined together. Here's another view. So it really looks like an awesome camera, you know. When I look at that, big camera, big motion picture camera, but in fact it's just the same DSLR camera as anyone else out there. So the conclusion I want to make here from this lesson is that a rig looks amazingly awesome, but you need to ask yourself whether you need it or not. In some cases, my rig is just overkill. And sometimes I just take out my DSLR and just use it as the small camera. That will create the exact same images without that rig. Now, in some situations when I do a lot of shoulder shots and I need my audio solutions and all of that, then I use my whole rig, and then it comes in very handy, of course. Alright guys, you now understand how a rig is constructed, which parts you can find in them. Now try to look on the internet for a solution that fits you the best, and I want to thank you for watching this lesson. In the upcoming video we are going to take a look at the audio solution for the DSLR camera. The audio is a big problem, and I'm going to teach you how you can fix that problem.